Hey guys, I'm going to show you something really interesting that I found on the Final Reich Zombies map that is information towards the DLC 1 Zombies map. Recently, Sledgehammer already announced DLC 1 map pack name and then gave a little teaser, and they showed this map right here. And there are 5 locations, and 4 of them have been identified for the multiplayer maps. But that one up at the top has been identified as the Zombies map. And the evidence or Easter egg that I found in the Final Reich map definitely confirms that this is where it is. North of Germany in the Northern Sea, there's a really tiny island, and I'll zoom in more here. And this island is called Heligoland. This German island of Heligoland was a major naval base during the World War II Nazi era. This island was the key point of Germany's sea power and was like a major sea fortress. And in World War II, it was Hitler's base for the Battle of the Atlantic. I had seen a couple of YouTubers speculate that this Heligoland island was going to be the DLC 1 map. I mean, they weren't sure, but they got a pretty good guess from the Resistance, teaser trailer. So I went in and was just looking at some Google images to see what this island looked like. And I remembered some of these pictures on the wall inside of the morgue that really stood out. They were really different from everything else in this room and also on the entire map. I had been keeping an eye on, possible Easter eggs for future Zombies maps. So I definitely looked very closely at the pictures. And these pictures right here stood out because they're really different. All the other pictures are of, Dr. Straub's, science experiments and the anatomy of these zombies. But these right here are very bright and colorful in an island type setting. I looked at them really closely and I noticed that a few of them matched up really closely with a very iconic natural monument that's actually on the real island. Anytime you search Heligoland, this thing always comes up, and this thing is called the Lange Anna, and that means tall Anna, and it is a natural monument. And it's something that they're trying to protect. It's about 150 feet tall, and it's made of sandstone. It's really brittle at this point, but yeah, it's super iconic with this island. And anytime you look this up, this is the first thing that comes up. So there's like 3 or 4 paintings that depict this monument, and this is one of the paintings on the right, and you can see that it does have the monument there. It looks like sandstone, and then you can see that it has eroded in the same stair-stepping fashion. So there's pretty much no doubt that this is what they're trying to represent here. We've got a couple of really good clues, and here's another painting that is depicting one of the other pillars that's in the back. One of the other paintings that you can see on the right is of a cave, and on the left is an actual cave that does exist on the island. So I think that's what they're trying to represent there. There's a few more paintings, and they're all of this island, and some of them might be some more information about the island, but they're very vague, and these are the only ones that I'm really clear on what they represent. So after seeing this DLC 1 Zombies map Easter egg, I was really confident, and that's where we're going. So I wanted to look at some of the history behind this island and find out how is this going to tie into the storyline. What's going on with this island? Why is it so special? And what could we possibly expect? I will tell you, it's got a really cool backstory and really fascinating, and I really hope that they tie it into the storyline, and I'm really hoping it's a part of the main Easter egg because it would be so amazing. I'm going to briefly tell you guys about the history and then show you some really incredible maps that I think are going to represent our map really well and give us an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, so this thing was a massive sea fortress, and it had submarine bunkers, it had coastal artillery, air raid shelter systems, extensive underground bunker tunnels, and a full-on airfield and air force. There was no actual fighting on this island during World War II, but it did get the absolute crap bombed out of it, and that's where it gets interesting. And this is also where I'm really hoping that the main Easter egg ties into the storyline with the actual island. So from the Sledgehammer developers, we know that this zombies experience or storyline is taking place just a little bit before the end of the war, which was September 1945. Well, in real-world events in April 1945, right before the end of the war, there were 2 guys, George Braun and Eric Fredericks. These guys formed a resistance group and tried to negotiate with British armed forces to try to protect the island to keep it from being destroyed. These guys were residents of the island, and they had about 25 people in this resistance group. Well, there were a couple of those people that spied and told on them, and they were executed. About that same time, there were 2 waves of attacks on the 18th and 19th of April 1945. There was 1,000 aircraft of the British Royal Air Force, and they dropped about 7,000 bombs on the island. And this was one of the biggest man-made explosions of all time. And this is the actual footage right here. Okay, so we have this island that's well known for being a fortress for Nazi Germany and also having a major event happening, with Sledgehammer wanting to be historically accurate with their game, and they're putting us in the storyline that's close to the end of the war, and that's when this happened. Does this mean that this is going to be a part of the storyline? I'm curious to see if they actually do include this event, and if they do, they've got to put us there either before, during, or after the bombing. And you can see on the left that's before, and then the right is the day after. So we're either going to get like some kind of city map, or it's going to be completely destroyed. I'm really hoping that they put us there like right before the event happens. Like maybe even we're interacting with these 2 characters that tried to stop the bombing. And, you know, we play out that scenario, and we can either save the island or it actually gets blown up, which, you know, we saw 2 different endings on Final Reich. So this would be kind of a cool thing they could do here. Another thing I have a problem with is the characters that we're currently playing are monument men. These guys are basically a part of the military that go in to restore, you know, lost artifacts and art. You know, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for them to be on this map, historically speaking. It made perfect sense for them to be on the Final Reich because that involved like salt mines, and, you know, Hitler was actually hiding, you know, fine art in salt mines and artifacts and stuff. So that all made sense. But are we going to get some new characters that make sense with the new map? Are the characters that we have now going to be a Shadows of Evil situation where they're just the first map and we're about to see the real characters that we're going to play for the rest of the game? If they do decide to be historically accurate, well, that's good news, because there is a real map of this island of when the Nazis inhabited it, and it's all laid out, and I'll show you guys it right here. It's really cool. So yeah, it shows the pillar at the north section of the island. It's got a gun battery on top, a lighthouse in Upper Town, a stairway to the Upper Town. You can see like the harbor, the Lower Town area. You can see there are tunnels underneath it. That's kind of like an X-ray view, and it shows like where the power station is and all that stuff. So that would make a really, you know, good map if they laid it out kind of like it really was. And this is a real newspaper article that was written after the bombing in October 1945. It said, "The island is now being cleared up and its armaments demolished. It has been discovered that there are miles of tunnels in the sandstone cliffs, which served as storage depots, underground hospitals, etc." So it definitely sounds like a pretty good setting for a zombies map. And it's saying that there were 8 miles of these underground tunnels, and I'll show you guys what they look like. And this island was not very big. It was like, I think a little over a mile long or something like that. So really small, but it had a huge network of these tunnels underground. So I'm definitely guessing that this is a pretty cool little secret feature of this Nazi Germany sea fortress, and they would probably take advantage of putting this in the zombies map, which could be pretty creepy. They're probably going to make it pretty dark, and you might get really lost down here. After seeing how small this island is, I'm guessing that they're probably going to utilize the whole thing. Like, we're going to be down in the town, the harbor, the upper area down by the monument, and underground in the tunnels. But that newspaper article I just showed you goes into really full detail about the entire fortress and describes a lot of the different aspects and, you know, what the functions were of the island. I'm gonna put that on my Twitter so you guys can read it up close. I don't want to like bore you with all the details. And here's a really quick shot of what this island looks like today on the upper area. Now, it's not going to look like this, but there are all these walkways on top of it, so I'm expecting we might see something like this. Another interesting thing I came across while researching this information is that Battlefield 1 has a DLC coming out in January, and one of their maps is going to be Heligoland. And you can see here that they're using that natural monument as an iconic representation of this map. So just wanted to show you that, like, yeah, they're using it also, and so is World War II. And this is just their concept art, I'm assuming, but you can see the sandstone, very, you know, recognizable sandstone walls right there of the island. So just thought that was pretty cool. But I'm really curious about how the Easter eggs are going to work out and hopefully tie in with the real history. Now, I'm going to have all of these photos that are on the wall in the morgue on my phone app. So if you guys want to see them very clearly and look at all of them and like analyze them and see if you can find anything hidden in them. The pictures are going to be in the fun stuff section at the bottom. And if you guys don't have the phone app, I'll have the links for Android and iOS download down in the description. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you appreciate the history of this island as much as I do. For me, it's going to make the map way more enjoyable to know like what we might be dealing with. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next video.